Concerns are rising over whether Tokyo Electric Power Company has secured enough workers to decommission the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. New figures suggest the utility had earlier over-reported the number of workers it has on its payroll. NHK found through an interview with TEPCO officials that only 8,000 workers are registered for the job as of last month. The utility has estimated 11,700 workers are necessary for decommissioning work this year. It earlier said there would be no manpower shortage as it had secured about 24,000 workers. But this figure represents the total number of people who have worked at the crippled plant since the accident on March 11th last year. 16,000 workers have already quit the job. Many of them left due to severe working conditions. TEPCO officials say that some workers will register again and therefore there will be no employee shortage in the short term. But they also admit they cannot predict how many workers they can secure and also said they must train their workforce. 3,000 people a day are working on the unprecedented project. Their responsibilities include taking out nuclear fuel rods from 3 reactors which have melted down.
And there's these guys. We took them camping for fun. It's another bullshit experiment.
South Korea has ordered suspensions of 2 nuclear reactors to replace thousands of parts with fake warranties. The country's Knowledge Economy Ministry said more than 5,200 such parts are in use at 5 nuclear plants. It said 8 part suppliers have been fabricating warranties since 2003, but the ministry says the parts are not related to key functions of reactors. The government ordered the immediate suspensions at the Yongwon nuclear power plant in the province of South Cholla. Many of the parts are in use at the facility. The operator plans to replace them this year. Ministry officials say the suspensions may lead to unprecedented power shortages this winter. They say they will draw up an emergency energy saving plan for homes and businesses.
Japan currently has only 1 operating nuclear plant. The country's nuclear regulatory body has put off a conclusion on whether a fissure under this plant is an active fault line. If the fault is confirmed to be active, the authority will ask the operator to shut down the plant. 5 experts conducted a survey on Friday at the Oi plant in Fukui Prefecture. They examined the fissure that runs beneath the plant compound. A key pipeline that transports cooling water from the ocean to the reactors runs across the nearly 1 kilometre long seam. The Nuclear Regulation Authority panel was supposed to reach a conclusion on Sunday, but their views were divided. Toyo University professor Mitsuhisa Watanabe said analysis of sediment above the fissure suggests it is active.
I've concluded that an active fault exists. I don't see any need for a more careful evaluation.
But Ritsumeikan University professor Atsumasa Okada pointed out that landslides can create fissures in strata.
I can't decide at this point whether the slippage is a result of deep fault activity. Making a hasty conclusion is dangerous.
NRA member Kunihiko Shimazaki said an active fault or landslides created the fissure, and that is all the group can say at the moment. They decided to meet again on Wednesday to discuss the matter. The nuclear regulator will conduct on-site inspections at 5 other plants.
Just another cold fact of life on this horrifying planet.
The US government has set up a special unit to control false rumors circulating on Twitter and other social networks in the wake of Superstorm Sandy.
What the fuck?
The Federal Emergency Management Agency set up the rumor control section on Saturday. Officials are working to dispel false information through its website and on an agency helpline. According to one rumor, thieves wearing power company uniforms were at large on the streets. Another claimed that anyone who lost power could receive food stamps. Such rumors circulated as restoration work got underway from Sandy, which struck the US East Coast last week. False information also spread on social networks in Japan in the days after last year's quake and tsunami disaster.
We have a storm system that is going to be forming along the eastern seaboard, moving northward and impacting the area that was just hit by Sandy. We're going to have all the details right here for you. I'm AccuWeather.com's Evan Myers, along with Elliot Abrams. Elliot, let's start off briefly with what's going on right now in Sandy's area. It's a chilly day today. You can see temperatures 10 to 15 degrees below normal. Okay, so let's take a look at this scenario. So the storm, as we said, forms down here, starts to move northward. Now, we have two possible tracks, divergent tracks, just like we had with Sandy. One, of course, took Sandy out to sea, or a number of them took it out to sea, and a number more slammed it into the coast. This seems to be a more narrowly focused area, Elliot, rather than what we saw with Sandy, which was anywhere from here to here, several days out. You can see this track is much closer. Why don't you explain that and where we actually think it's going to go?
Makes a big difference in terms of how much wind and how much rain on the coast, and also the possibility of snow. The leftmost track would be the windiest and rainiest along the mid-Atlantic coast and then into New England, and offer the best opportunity or chance to have heavy snow in the Appalachian, central Pennsylvania, through the Catskills and perhaps into the Green and White Mountains. The eastern track there would have less of all those things, perhaps no snow at all.
So what we're looking at right now is what? Which of these tracks? Someplace in the middle, a compromise, or more too close to the coast, more out to sea?
Right now I'm thinking that it's closer to the coast, and the model that was best on the storm last week is the one saying that.
Okay, let's take a look at what the potential wind gusts could be. And you can see this a little bit darker purple here from just south of Boston through Cape Cod, much of Rhode Island, and along the eastern part of Long Island, coastal Long Island, the ocean, and right along coastal New Jersey and Delaware. That doesn't look very pleasant, very happy for the folks down there that are cleaning up from Sandy.
That's true, although those wind speeds in that lower category, many areas in Pennsylvania experienced those winds when Sandy came through with relatively minor damage. However, along the coast, replenishment operations are often done with the sand to replenish them during the winter months because of the winter storms that do so much erosion. There's been no way for that to have occurred in most places so far because all the attention has been on trying to help people recover. It's been just such a long recovery, so much damage, so much suffering that the normal things that would go on to protect the beaches can't be done yet.
Now let's take a look. Let's take a real close-in look here. So if in fact this storm is here strengthening and moving kind of like this. The circulation around it in this manner means that we're going to be getting these winds in off the ocean once again. Now, we're not going to see a storm surge. You can get storm surges with non-tropical systems, but as long as it stays offshore out here somewhere, we're not going to get a storm surge. But, Elliot, we will get this piling up of the water as the winds blow from that direction across the ocean. So in this red area here along the New Jersey coast, what are we looking for?
Additional beach erosion. The beaches are vulnerable to getting flooded once again. Also, with all the debris hanging around, this will then be floating in some of the water and moving to other places. It's a mess made worse.
Officials from more than 90 countries have renewed their call to abolish nuclear weapons. The UN Disarmament Committee adopted a resolution against the weapons and also urged North Korea to stop its nuclear program. Japan led the group of countries submitting the resolution. It urges member nations to take measures to achieve a nuclear-free world and to comply with the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. It stresses the importance of sanctions against North Korea. Pyongyang test-launched a ballistic missile in April in violation of a UN Security Council resolution. North Korean officials claimed they were launching a satellite. 159 countries backed the resolution. 12 countries abstained, including China and Russia. North Korea was the only country to vote against it.
The international community should take every opportunity to press North Korea again and again. That will lead to success.
Amano said countries with nuclear weapons backed the resolution, including U.S. and Britain.
Right. Okay, well, you say there's no solution to the waste, but there is a solution to the waste, and the solution to the waste is to just leave it exactly where it is and to have somebody look at it for a million years.
Live, this is One for the Record. I'm Diana, and today is November 5th, 2012, and I'm going to show you something I found on Paul Bagley's channel to start the show off.
Are you serious? Folks, the devastation is everywhere in New Jersey, and now martial law has been declared. And let me just say to you right now, FEMA's out of water. Are you serious? FEMA's out of water? How does that happen? When you know a hurricane season and you know anything can happen, you have to prepare for another Katrina. I mean, instead, what's blowing my mind is the Department of Homeland Security, the CIA, the FBI, the ATF, I don't know, maybe the PTA. Everybody was in San Diego for Halloween to do a training exercise on how to deal with a zombie apocalypse. We know that the Department of Homeland Security has ordered 4.2 billion rounds of ammunition. They're not out of bullets, but we're out of water. And right now, 4 days after Hurricane Sandy, FEMA's out of water, and New Jersey is under martial law in some of its cities. Let me just read to you quickly right now. November 1st, 2012, the Funtown Pier in Seaside Heights is now a pile of twisted and broken rides lying on the beaches as waves lap over it. It's one of 2 piers destroyed in Hurricane Sandy, where the iconic Ferris wheels seem to be the only thing left standing. I think everybody who's ever been to the seaside or grew up here loves this place. This is the way I make my living, and a lot of other people make their living. They're back. Arcade workers said it's hard to conceive how long it could take to repair the nearby towns that are now Seaside Heights, and other nearby towns are under martial law. I repeat, under martial law. New Jersey. I'm going to do right now here is play an audio for you, and I want you to listen closely to what's going on right now. This is an ABC report. That's ABC News reporting. Here we go. 1 second as the audio comes on.
Nora Mushanek, who finally was allowed to cross the bridge into Seaside Heights. And Nora, what was your reaction when you saw the damage in Seaside Heights firsthand?
Well, Jim, I know this area well. I have friends and family nearby, and the destruction on the beach and boardwalk, particularly the amusement piers, is stunning. Now, police here are saying that at least 3 or 4 people in Seaside Heights are still unaccounted for, and they are searching for them now.
Well, a lot of people that I know stay there, and their houses are not there, and they're you can't get in touch with them.
The possibility that there's a loss of life is why police on this barrier island are going door to door to check for survivors and remove any pets.
When the animals die, they show up a stench that makes us think there's a body there. It helps us not think we have a body in that building and we don't have to break in.
Seaside Heights is under martial law as officials survey the damage, including 2 amusement piers that were destroyed. Look at this. We're surrounded with the rides that used to make up the Funtown Pier. They have all literally collapsed, and with them, the memories of generations of families who would come here to Seaside Heights in the summer for fun. This is the way I make my living, and a lot of other people make their living. So yeah, they'll be back. Homeowners who can only see the island from aerial shots so far are desperate to get home and see what's left.
We have no idea. We're the only part of the state that can't get to our homes because we live on an island, and you've got a choke point here to keep us from getting to the island. Everybody else can find out whether they have a house or not.
I don't see. And then listen to what the response was by FEMA.
Care about buildings. I don't care about anything but lives. You could always rebuild a house.
This hurricane is Tom's River's Katrina. It's absolutely devastating.
Okay, what happened is martial law has been declared, okay, in Seaside Heights in New Jersey and some of the other surrounding towns. People finally, the water receded enough that people could finally get out of these stranded areas, went into the city, wherever they could scrape and find up a little bit of food and water, and were trying to get back to their homes that still don't have power and are broken, maybe off the foundation. Yes, there's storm damage. Yes, there are parts of the roofs tore off. Yes, but look, they at least could get back to their homes and get under some shelter. They finally got something to eat, finally got some water to drink, and trying to get back. The FEMA trucks are saying, no, you can't go back. It's now martial law. And so, of course, the National Guard's brought in. Here these people are saying, look, are you serious? Are you serious? What? You guys are telling me now I can't get back to the house that's already destroyed anyway? I got to get out underneath some kind of shelter. It's 35 degrees. And this is your answer? Go away? You didn't come to help us, and now you tell us to go away. Folks, this is the disaster that's going on. The looting, the robbery, the breaking and entering. People are desperate, so they're diving in dumpsters for food. They're breaking into other people's homes. They're busting up every local store and convenience store and grocery store. Some of these folks, they're in desperate, okay? FEMA's out of water, but FEMA's not out of guns. Let me repeat. FEMA's out of water, but they're not out of guns. They're not out of bullets. And this is where we're at right now. Pray for the Northeast. Now, a lot of folks have persevered and overcome. And the president has sent millions of gallons of fuel to help fuel the generators. Here's the problem. 80% of the gas stations in New Jersey don't work. Thus, there's no power to pump the gas. But they keep sending tankers, stacking up 4 and 5, but there's no electricity to pump the gas. But FEMA does have some mega generators. They're stored in California. I'm Pastor Paul Bailey. Would you please pray? The media doesn't even really want to tell you how disastrous the pre-planning for this storm has been. Everybody just waiting for the clock to run out. Everybody It's just waiting for the election. Pray for the people. God bless. They're going to overcome it. Many of them have, despite the odds, despite the situation that's arriving. Many of them, I've heard from many, they've overcome it. And neighbors helping neighbor. And they're reaching out to each other. They can't depend on the government. They must depend on one another. And most importantly, folks, everybody, we have to depend on the Lord, upon the Lord Jesus Christ to help us and sustain us. God bless you. Again, FEMA's out of water, and part of New Jersey's under martial law, but FEMA's not out of bullets.
Alrighty then. There was also another one that he was talking about. I don't know if I can find it. We'll look real quick. I think it's the one after this. If not, I'll tell you what he said. We'll go back. Let's see if we'll go back. Ah, it's running too slow. We'll forget about it. We'll go on to, well, maybe I'll go back. Let's see. No. Alright. See how slow it runs? Hold on. Stand by. Stand by. Okay. Not sure if you can see me. Here we go. Oh, you're pointing down. Let's see. Alrighty. I can't even see what I'm looking at yet. Just one moment. Here we go. There we are. Alrighty. It's like I'm flying blind. Here we go. Let's go into the Extinction Protocol 2012 and beyond. .3 magnitude earthquake rattles Santa Monica Bay. Heads up. Heads up. I guess the East Coast got messed up. Be ready on the West Coast. That's all I got to say. And that was Los Angeles. Please be ready. Please be prepared for anything, especially a big earthquake, all right? That's what I have to say. That's how it's looking. All right, harp is probably on. Here we go. Severe storms, quakes, volcanic eruptions. Is planetary change accelerating? Wow. Minor earthquake shakes New Jersey. Wow. And that was at 11:05. 05, okay, November 5th. That was today. At 06:19 hours UTC. That is written very strange. 41.08 north, 74.22 west. And there was a depth of 5 kilometers, magnitude 2. Ringwood, New Jersey. H1N1 outbreak reported in Saudi Arabia today. Heads up. Ancient supervolcano affected the ends of the earth. And this was in Indonesia about 74,000 years ago. And it was the Toba volcano on the Indonesian island of Sumatra. It erupted with catastrophic force. All right, let's keep going. Also today, large volcanic eruptions would have devastating impact on planet. Israeli army patrol hit by Syria gunfire in demilitarized zone of Golan Heights. That was in Israel. Max is snoring in the background. Yes, I'm running really late. There was some technical difficulties on uploading, and I am attaching 2 updated videos with this, so it is going to take a little bit for it to process. So we'll see. And if it doesn't, it should though. We'll see what we can do. Here we go. We'll go into the watchers. Watching the world. See if this will move up. Alright. Sampex. Earth's radiation belts. Kamchakan Kiziman volcano eruption captured by MODIS. Also, devastating floods in Nigeria. It moved. I'm reading and the thing moves. Just one moment, stand by. Oh, man. Devastating floods in Nigeria displaced more than 2 million people. Gulf Coast storm system about to deepen into East Coast nor'easter. All right. You got another storm coming in, and I got attached breaking news on that. Alrighty then. Let's move on to the E&E News. We do have breaking news that I'm going to attach. I'll attach it ahead of the nightly news. So hang in there. Okay, let's get off of this one. Here we go. E&E News. I look all nerdy today. It's my nerdy look. Let's see. Let's go into it. Come on. Here we go. Fukushima, Japan. Also on Paul Bagley's channel, he said that looters are going to be brought into internment camps. Yep. Here we go. Also, he said pastors, I think, saying anything bad about gay people, they're going to internment camps too. Just be ready for anything, please. NHK. Concerns rising at Fukushima plant. 16,000 workers have quit. Severe working conditions blamed. Fukushima mother's daughter has so many thyroid cysts, doctor can't count them all. Hospital told not to test kids. So, man. Crimes against humanity. U.S. paper. Fukushima kids playing above nuclear waste. Public parks are now unmarked radioactive dumps. Also today, government nuclear expert immediately halts Japan's only 2 operating reactors. It's certain there's an active fault. And that was yesterday. Alrighty then, let's see U.S.-Canada real fast. I'm trying to get this up as fast as possible, but I had a problem uploading for some reason. And I was able to bypass it though. So you're going to get your videos. I found a couple good ones off Miss Milky the Clown channel. So I'm attaching all those. Officials, severe thunderstorms warning for Louisiana sinkhole NOAA. This is a dangerous storm, deadly cloud to ground lightning, winds over 60 miles per hour, destructive hail. Blowout in Gulf of Mexico, wellhead releasing unknown product into water off Louisiana coast. Coast Guard, incredible damage from New York, New Jersey oil spill, grab bag of contaminants also suspected, ABC, a crit stench of petroleum in air. Okay, that's it. Alrighty then. I'm going to attach the videos. Hopefully I'll get them out there fast enough for you. Sorry for the delay. It wasn't me. Alrighty then. Well, it's one day down, 4 to go before the weekend. Let me get back on here so I can see you guys. There you are. Alright, you take care. Please subscribe. And I'll see you on the flip side tomorrow. Also, there are 45 days, 3 hours, 52 minutes, 8 seconds before December 21st, 2012, 11:11, Greenwich Mean Time. So take care and be prepared for anything. Start making lists if you haven't. Alrighty then, take care.
The people who run Japan's only online nuclear power plant say there's no active earthquake fault under the facility. But members of Japan's Nuclear Regulation Authority say they'll conduct their own survey on Friday. They'll then decide whether to order a shutdown of the plant. Officials of Kansai Electric Power Company on Wednesday submitted to the NRA an interim report on the underground seam at the Oi nuclear plant. The report said the fissure that runs about 900 meters between the plant's number 2 and number 3 reactors is not an active fault. The report said the fissure that runs about 900 meters between the plant's number 2 and number 3 reactors is not an active fault. The utility reported the same conclusion before the March disaster last year. The finding was approved by the government at the time. Government guidelines prohibit the building of important facilities of nuclear power plants above active faults. The head of the NRA previously indicated his agency would order shutting down the Oi plant if the seam was found to be an active fault.
I sometimes just think funny things.
Experts spent the day digging in the dirt around Japan's only operating nuclear plant to assess its vulnerability to earthquakes. The Nuclear Regulation Authority is trying to figure out if a seam under the Oi facility is an active fault. Representatives say they could ask operator Kansai Electric Power Company to suspend operations depending on their findings. Agency member Kunihiko Shimazaki and 4 other outside experts visited the plant Friday. It sits on the Sea of Japan coast in Fukui Prefecture. The day started with a briefing from Kansai Electric workers about what they found in their own survey. The underground fissure is nearly a kilometer long. A key pipeline that transports cooling water from the ocean to the reactors runs across the seam. The underground fissure is nearly a kilometer long. A key pipeline that transports cooling water from the ocean to the reactors runs across the seam. The team took samples from under the northern part of the Oi plant's premises. They also examined soil layers taken from the ground in and around the fissure to check hardness and other properties.
There are many things you can only find out by coming to the site. We may have to redo the survey if necessary.
Nuclear plant operators in Japan are not allowed to build reactors or other infrastructure crucial for the safe operation of their facilities directly above active faults.
No shit.
A former worker at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant has filed a criminal complaint against a subcontractor. He says the company knowingly instructed him to work in a dangerously contaminated area. The 46-year-old whistleblower worked at the crippled nuclear plant in March and April last year. He said he and 5 others were instructed on March 24th to lay cable in the basement of the number 3 reactor and turbine building. He says radiation in the basement was extremely high at 400 millisieverts an hour. He also says that workers employed by Tokyo Electric Power Company evacuated. However, the subcontractor Kandenko told him to stay. He refused the order and moved to work on the first floor where radiation was about 11 millisieverts per hour.
Workers will risk their lives unless labor rules covering dangerous jobs are respected. I hope companies will follow the safety rules designed to protect workers.
Kandenko claims it was unaware of the high radiation levels until it was informed by TEPCO after the work was completed. TEPCO has declined to comment on the case, saying it does not know details of the complaint.
A year and a half after a massive earthquake and subsequent tsunami left the Fukushima nuclear power plant in Japan severely damaged, the plant's authorities are still scrambling to find space to store the tens of thousands of tons of highly contaminated water that was used to cool the broken reactors. And the problem is far from contained. The water is stored in gigantic tanks surrounding the Daiichi power plant, and TEPCO, the Tokyo Electric Power Company, has been working to clear more room for a volume of water that's expected to more than triple in the next 3 years. Finding a place to store over 200,000 tons of radioactive water is no easy task, especially with the added factor that Japan is an island nation highly susceptible to earthquakes and tsunamis. And if the situation in Japan isn't daunting enough, it becomes more complicated when you throw in the fact that nuclear authorities are entangled with the Yakuza, Japan's most notorious crime syndicate. That's right. According to Japanese government sources, the Yakuza has a long history of involvement in Japan's nuclear industry that dates back over a decade. Undercover reporters have exposed TEPCO payoffs to the Yakuza to keep quiet about safety issues and potential scandals. Look, we already know that TEPCO is corrupt as hell. In fact, they knew that the reactors were faulty, and they even falsified documents in the past to downplay the poor conditions of the reactors years before the disaster. So, who is TEPCO having work on the disaster cleanup? Well, unfortunately, a group of veteran engineers called the Skilled Veterans Corps for Fukushima has been denied access to clean up the radioactive mess. Skilled Veterans Corps is made up of 700 plus retired workers from the Fukushima plant, many of them elders who expect to die of natural causes long before the long-term effects of radiation exposure could make them sick. Aside from the fact that these men are willing to lay down their lives for the cleanup effort, I find it mind-boggling to believe that TEPCO is denying them access. It starts to make sense, however, when you take into account the outsourcing of organized crime labor by TEPCO. The arrest of a Yakuza boss who allegedly supplied workers for reconstruction efforts is helping shine a light on the whole operation. Japanese law enforcement officials have disclosed that starting in May of last year, gang members were sent to the damaged reactors, where they performed cleanup work and began rebuilding damaged areas. The subcontractor for TEPCO then awarded the extra hazard pay to the crime boss, and a portion of the money was used to settle debts with the crime syndicate. Now, while you might be thinking that gang members and criminals going in to help clean up a nuclear disaster sounds like a good idea, think about it this way. These workers are being sacrificed to this job because they are indebted to the mob. They are desperate for work, and many of them have little to no experience being sent to what they're doing. Think about what I just said. This may be the most important aspect of all. A nuclear disaster resulting from 3 major nuclear meltdowns is unfolding by the minute, and who's sent to work on it? Gang members with no experience. The cleanup efforts must be worked on properly, or could result in the spread of 85 times the amount of dangerous CS-137 isotope that the Chernobyl disaster sent around the world. Listen, guys, this is insane. If the potential for a global catastrophe isn't opening people's eyes to the technological insanity that is nuclear energy, then I don't know what will. The idea of nuclear energy does not account for human error, Mother Nature's wrath, and the impossibility of storing the waste. We clearly can't count on the industry or the government to look out for the people of this planet. We are the ones who need to demand an end to this madness.
People in New York are watching their city and its surroundings slowly heal from the beating handed out by monster storm Sandy. Crews are draining flooded streets. 3 major airports are now all offering limited service. And parts of the transit system are open and free for users for the next 2 days. Trains won't be stopping at a number of subway stations for some time, though. That includes the South Ferry Station at the southern tip of Manhattan. Water filled the tunnels there. And it's still covering tracks and platforms at the 3rd basement level. Workers are trying to restore power to the station.
I've been here 26 years working for New York City Transit. This, without a doubt, is probably the worst flood that we've had. It will take probably weeks just to pump the water out.
New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo says the New York metropolitan region is dealing with a transportation emergency. Above ground, the extent of the destruction is startling. The storm changed the map of the New Jersey coastline, destroying homes, boats, and tossing tons of sand inland. It also wrecked a popular amusement park. The swath of damage extends for several hundred kilometers. Officials say the state suffered many billions of dollars in losses.
Experts have come up with an estimate for how much it will cost to fix what Sandy broke. The storm damaged homes, businesses, transit, roads, and power infrastructures. Analysts with the U.S. research firm IHS Global Insight say the bill could swell to $50 billion. They argue this could cut U.S. economic growth for the October to December quarter by up to 0.4 percentage points in annual terms. Catastrophe risk forecasting firm Ekakat says the storm may cost the insurance industry up to $20 billion. That includes property damage and losses from halted businesses. The figure is lower than the $74 billion the insurance industry paid after Hurricane Katrina hit the southern part of the country in 2005. But it's nearly 4 times what insurers doled out when Hurricane Irene hit the U.S. East Coast in August last year.
Bulgarian leaders want to hear from voters on how the country powers itself. They're holding a referendum at the end of January to ask whether the nation needs more nuclear plants. Bulgaria currently has 1 nuclear plant in operation. Workers began building a new facility 4 years ago to meet growing demand for electricity. But authorities suspended construction last March. They cited high costs as well as safety concerns triggered by last year's nuclear accident here in Japan. Government leaders have been trying to promote renewable energy with backing from foreign investors. Still, some people say Bulgaria needs more nuclear reactors to offset rising energy costs.
You see, always the pro-nukes say, hey, but these are old reactors at Fukushima, and generation 3 and 4 and 5 are going to be much safer. Why? Oh, well, they've got pumps that work without electricity by gravity, and they've got this and they've got that. But it's still the same technology. You're still using fissile material, uranium-235, or you could use thorium-233, enriched in a reactor to boil water. And that produces as byproducts these actinides and transuranic elements that are highly radioactive and poisonous. And there's no way that we yet know of to isolate these from the biosphere for the necessary length of their lives. The Yanks have tried it. The Swedes have got fairly close, but they haven't succeeded yet. The French have tried it near Fessenheim, a reactor up on the border of Germany. They haven't done it yet. And I don't think they will, because even if you could bury this stuff, and plutonium has a half-life of 24,400 years, even if you could do that, how long do you have to wait before another generation says, oh, we need that material to build nuclear weapons? I mean, how far ahead can we look, ladies and gentlemen? I can't even look to the end of the Gillard government. Can we look 10 or 20 or 50 years ahead? Can we look 1,000 years ahead? Forget it.